planted.
What's good, everybody? Welcome to SpikeTalk episode 27. I'm your host, Baby. I got my homie here and the co-host, Frost. What's good, brother? It's been a minute.
Up,
you guys are ass, bro. You guys are straight up ass, man. What happened this offseason, bro? I mean, you were looking promising. Cruz dropping 30 bombs. All of a sudden, you guys are washed. You're playing fucking Soup League. Can't even get a dub, bro. Did you even win a map?
Yeah, but
You say yeah.
Another O2 barbecue and losers.
Yeah. O2 barbecue
that's what we're
losers,
starting
bro.
this off with. Okay,
You guys
so
are cursed.
no, I mean it's off season. Like you got to understand. Like I assume you're talking about Myth when we lost to the tier 2 team, right?
Bro, what's going on with that, bro?
Okay.
I know you guys are getting grilled on like every tie forum possible, bro. There's no, no way you're not.
No, for sure, and it's caused some problems between me and the players too because I put some certain conditions for that match. So, for instance, obviously, I went back to last year where I didn't call timeouts at all this tournament. Actually, I did call one versus Gen.G, but we played Ascent and Split.
Yeah.
Obviously, last year, Split was our perma. Ascent, we had a 20% win rate. So we did this on purpose because like I've been harping a lot this offseason on we need to be able to play our bad maps. Like we played DRX, Ascent 2 in Busan. We played Gen.G on bad maps because there's no point in continuing to try to just play our good maps against teams.
They catch on, right?
To be good on everything, right? So this offseason, I basically have kind of like made this a point where we're going to play our bad maps mainly, and if we're lucky, if we make a finals, sure, we can like actually play straight up, but you guys need to make a finals first, right? So against Myth, we basically played, we gave them 3 maps on purpose, right? And I didn't call any timeouts, and that's not to make excuses because frankly, we should still be able to beat. My whole logic has been, it doesn't matter what maps we play this team on, we should be able to win, right? Like most teams in the world now, we should be able to beat on bad maps. It doesn't matter. Like we should be good enough to be able to do this. And it seems like we're not still. And that's obviously a problem. But I put real like conditions and weights on it effectively.
Yeah, you kind of handicapped your team here, bro.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's because we have to improve in these areas, and in the offseason, it's the best chance to do it. So, yeah, so that's pretty much what happened. We still should have won.
Yeah,
we had a lot of mistakes, a lot of unfortunate mess ups. Particularly Gen.G on Split. I feel like that shit should have been our game free. But again, Split, not a great map for us. Not too much practice time. Players are still uncomfortable with it, so we just made a lot of like real bad errors with like macro, especially on defense.
Yeah, you guys are running an interesting comp as well, right? The double senti now with the deadlock, which I kind of think is fire. But I mean, you clearly struggled on attack.
That's the good
but when
thing
do
is
you
we had it installed. We played it for like a week. So we had it installed, but it's still not enough good live reps. Plus, the teams we're playing in the offseason, the scrims. I think we've only played like 3 tier 1 teams in the whole month of December. So let's just say it's not the best practice because no tier 1 team wants to play because simply kickoff is a month away. That's another thing. Playing a tournament, without giving up too much info, if you notice, we're still running standard comps.
Yeah.
So this is another thing is we are practicing basically for Soup with comps that are not technically our main comps, which most people don't know and you won't see till next year. So it's like a fucking big problem where like I'm having to like divvy up practice time for like Soup preparation and then regular season preparations or in essence kickoff, I guess. But so yeah, I mean, yeah. Oh, another thing, you'll like this.
It's good.
So Cruz gave me a nugget late, but he gave me a nugget like maybe 8-9 days before Soup. He was talking about how the studio we're going to play in was really cold because the studio we played in for Soup is where we're going to play next year. And also that studio was where they played year 1. Yeah, we got screwed. Now we have a 2-hour drive, which I'll tell you in a second.
God damn, bro.
Yeah. So
2-hour drive, bro?
Yeah. No.
2-hour drive to go play a match?
I got into that in a second.
What?
So Cruz told me that arena is cold as fuck. Also, we don't have practice setups at Soup. So NRG, Myth, and like a lot of other teams that came that they had to fly to Korea,
Yeah.
they have a practice setup in the thing. But all the Korean teams that were invited from Soup, they didn't have a practice room because we're in Korea. We could practice from our.
Yeah, you have
facility.
your own facility.
But us, Gen.G T1, we are now in, we are in Gangnam, which is effectively like in traffic, an hour and a half, 2 hours away from.
And by the way,
studio.
For those that don't know, traffic in Korea is worse than LA. It's actually, and LA is terrible.
So basically, Cruz gave me that nugget. So you know what I did? I took the heater out the room. Basically, we're in a freezing room. So Primi is like in this big blue ass jacket he had. Him and Jit are literally playing Valorant every day in these fucking jackets because it's so fucking cold in the room and there's no heat in the room because we used to do this on Flipside actually. So I'm basically seeing the idea from like, what we used to do
emulating how it'll be like on the actual stage.
And then Governor and me have been fighting a lot this offseason, but lately in particular, it's because you know what he's been doing? The fuck he's been bringing contraband to practice. He's been bringing a little heater, a little space heater, like the little fan ones that look like a fan, but it blows out hot air. Because you know better than anybody, you're in the Talon thing. I'm in a different office, or I'm sorry, not a different office. I'm in a different room.
Yeah.
So he has a fucking heater so he can play because his ego is so big. He needs to play well even during practice.
Scrims, right? Yep.
Yeah. So he has a fucking heater. So every time I catch him, I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Like, so I basically put them on this thing. And then another thing I've been doing is I don't let them warm up anymore. So we used to have an hour warm up. Like, if you don't have a practice facility, you're not going to be able to warm up, then scrims. Right. So now we're just doing VOD review, lab, game. Because I need to get them ready for what the season might look like with no practice rooms potentially, right?
Yeah. And if they want to warm up, what they should be doing is getting on earlier. You know what I mean? That's literally it.
But the problem is these motherfuckers have a bad sleep schedule and they always show up right before practice, which was my biggest point of contention.
This is the craziest thing to me still, bro, is that like it's a professional league, bro. You're getting paid fucking well.
Some of these guys are just
you should be taking it serious, bro.
It's not just my players.
Because, dude, the sleep matters so much, bro, with reaction time and your mood, everything,
Trust me.
bro.
Listen, I have no problem saying this publicly, and if he gets pissed, I don't give a fuck. This has been my biggest argument with Ban this entire offseason. His sleep fucking schedule.
Yeah.
Ban is just not taking this level of what he needs to do with his body seriously at all, in my opinion. And like yesterday, we scrimmed yesterday, and obviously this is post-soup. This motherfucker shows up to practice an hour and a half late. Don't even get me started, fine and everything. Yeah. Pissed. We were all pissed. He shows up, he's dropping 30 almost every scrim. What the fuck is this, bro? And then, anyways, I'm gonna move on. But so, and I don't care. You can clip it. You can send it to Ban. He knows this is not anything anything I'm saying here. I have not said to them. They all fucking know. So I've been pretty pissed off this offseason about that level of professionalism from my guys. It's not just Ban too, right? Ban is just me and Joseph have a really good relationship, and I can coach him hard. So this is why I'm also not worried about what I say here because he's not gonna take this shit personally. He knows, like, but like, dude, the thing is, it's not just my players. Players in general are like this. And it's why when you bring up people like Verno and the stuff that his parents have kind of like pushed him through.
That's why he's different, bro.
Right. It's why I have so much success for people that come in with this level of professionalism from day one. It's what I'm trying to instill in, Jit and Primi today, which is still very hard because I'd argue they're closer to Ban than they ever will be Verno. Because in order to do, like, the thing is, I think there's like I don't know if you agree with this. Maybe I'm wrong, but you could tell me from your perspective. I feel like I can't really motivate you to be professional or to like take it to the next level. I know a lot of coaches or a lot of sports psychologists are considered good because they have the ability to motivate people to do other things.
Yeah.
But as somebody that's competed my entire life in both sports and now esports, I think it's either in you or it isn't, man. No one is going to tell you. You have to decide that is what you're going to do. No fucking guy or girl is going to tell you you should do this. And you're going to be like, yeah, okay, I'm going to do this just for you. That's never going to work. It has to come within you, right? So
definitely. But at the same time, like on teams that I've been on, bro, like I've always been a positive influence on, my players, making sure they eat well. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? Because nothing's gonna be perfect, and like I don't want them to want to like killjoy alt themselves. But I've always tried to be the influence to like come to the gym with me, even if it's just walking, for like 30 minutes or whatever the fuck it could be, because like. But I don't know. I guess it's just because like I see the benefit in it, and like that's why I was able to last for so long,
No, for sure. And I try, but that's not my like interpersonal communication at that level.
I feel like it's better
if you're not
from a player
like this, me, bro.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I just don't fuck with you. If I have to, then all right, cool. But like in general, it's just like, dude, I don't got the fucking time, man. And plus, as I'm getting older, I'm more ornery now, so it's just like I have even less patience than before. So I'm just like, bro, get on or get out. Like. I really don't have like, And
in reality, it's like your future, bro. Like, do you want to be the best at what you do, or do you want to look back and you were just a mid-ass player?
Bro, that's my
and you're out of the league in like a couple of years, bro.
That's my biggest discussion point with Primi. This is also a big point of contention between me and Primi continuously. Is what I want him to be, in my opinion, is not what he wants to be.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I said this to Governor yesterday, well, and the rest of the room, but mainly towards Governor. It's not what you can do. It's what you're willing to do.
Yeah.
That's going to make the difference.
The fire quote.
Right? So, so Soup I'll take to the chin because, I mean, I put us in handcuffs. We played our bad maps. It caused some issues between me and the Thai players because obviously we lose. Their first thing is, why the fuck are we picking these maps, bro? Like, why don't we just beat them, move on? Like, it becomes this thing, and then it becomes a question of like, are you questioning my coaching? Because I know what we need. It's clear you don't, because you think you can just wake up and beat people.
Yeah,
like you show up to practice without sleep, right? Well, all right, bitch, do it, right? So, and I won't say who I was talking to, but there was somebody that I talked to before one of our games that was from the team that we played.
Yeah.
And he said something to me which I thought was interesting, which says a lot about their dynamics inside. He said to me, coaches oftentimes don't know as much as their players. In all cases I've seen, coaches know much less than their player. The coach's job is to like motivate, fix problems, all this stuff. And it instantly, like, I completely vehemently disagreed with that. I didn't tell him that because there's no point. Like, it is what it is. Me and him are in such different places. So I've had this conversation with my team. It's like, yo, if you guys think you are where you need to be and you don't agree with my coaching or my style or what I think, show me, carry me. Straight up, show me. Right? And I think it's a point that I think the perception of a lot of players is they always know better than their coach. Right? Always. Mm-hmm. Right? And I'm in no different position today than I was, let's just say, back then on 100 Thieves, because I think surely some players have different temperaments and different egos and different perspectives, but the same underlying thing happens, right? Where like I get questioned a lot because I'm not as good as they are, right?
It's just an ego thing, bro.
But I will argue that it's funny how either my instinct is more than likely correct, or I seem to know a lot more about what's coming than they do. And if the perception is that coaches don't know as much as their players, I've been openly challenging my players, like, show me you're better and know more than me, please. Like, then I'll start taking advice from you on how to fucking coach, right? So like, bro, we've been through it, but Ban, I think, had, funny enough, Joseph has the right perspective on this. He was like, listen, amidst all the turmoil and the problems that happened after Soup, in response to sort of basically the handcuffs I put everybody on and how they're butthurt about it now.
Yeah.
He was like, isn't it better this happens now?
It is.
Right.
100% is.
And he's absolutely correct. And that's sort of the ideology behind why you train the way that you do and you put yourselves in very tough positions when you can, when there's nothing at stake, so that you kind of know where you are. Right. So
it's just hard, like, because I get it. As a player, like, you want to have wins, you want to win everything because it'll make you more confident. But the problem is, and it goes back to what we were saying earlier, if you really were going to try to go into that tournament and win it all, like, you would have had to showcase probably shit that you're going to be using in the actual season, which makes no fucking sense.
And everybody knows
season.
I'm not doing that,
bro,
shit.
The reality is no one fucking cares about this off season, bro.
Right.
No one cares.
I mean, NRG wins. And but by the way, I like the last podcast episode, so props.
Nice. Yeah.
Right? NRG wins soup, right? But after the first game, you know what the rhetoric was?
What?
When they lost to Lo-Fi?
Tier 2 is the best, bro.
I mean, let's just say they were getting dogged off, right?
Yep.
And I remember me and a lot of players are like, well, they're probably just not used to APAC. APAC is you experience this yourself. It's going to take a little bit of time and process to like figure out this region. But they'll be fine.
That's why they went. That's why they went, bro. It's to get a feel for how it's going to be because it is a completely different game, bro.
Right. So
completely different.
Yeah. So I would just say that I understand the frustration of both our fans and particularly my players.
Yeah.
But I have a fucking job to do. And my job is not to win tournaments in the off season. That's about the least I'm going to say about it is that. Like, if you want to circle back to this conversation and criticize me afterwards, let's say we go 20 barbecue this season.
20 barbecue would be fucking crazy.
Then it's my fault, and you can just pass the blame on me, and I do the off season. But in general,
but to me, the crazy thing is that you were the fucking like main driving force of the success from last year, bro. And like obviously everyone has a key factor into it, but like it was your fucking comps, it was your ideas, the way that you approached the year about how you were gonna make it to champs, and you fucking did it. It's not like you went against your word, bro. You did everything you said that the team could do at the start of the year, besides winning actual champs, right? Because at some point you were like, wait, we can actually win this shit. And okay, that didn't come to fruition, but you still made it to champs. So you would think that you would already have like full onboarded support 100% of the way, and they would just trust the fucking process, Because
but you're a player though, and I used to be, and I would argue, especially in high school in football as quarterback, I was not very coachable, and now I understand that when I was younger. Yeah. Once you feel you've learned as much as you can learn, now you have to add your style to it. And I'm not against the perception that maybe they've reached a level now where like they can start taking like authority and accountability for things now, right? Like it can't always be me. And I'm actually with that ideology. I think the coach though, I just see certain things like I won't get too into the weeds on this, but like that timeout against Gen.G, the timeout I called was in the second half, right? Mm-hmm. I called that timeout because ego got to me because I was like, I want to win this map. I want to get to the third map, and then I want to beat them there, right? So even though I said I wasn't going to call timeout, I called that timeout. And in my timeout, I'm giving them a specific thing to do because I see what's coming or I have an idea as to what I think is going to happen. Governor overrules it. Ultimately, turns out he was incorrect. I was correct. But the point I'm making is like, now it's to a point where like, they are individually smart enough and confident enough that their calls are correct, which you sometimes have to navigate through because it is not the case that I'm going to be correct 100% of the time.
Yeah, of course.
I have to have faith that like, even if I get overruled, they must know something I don't because they should have reached a level by now that warranted the freedom to be able to like make their own calls.
But you also didn't have a moment where like, especially in recent history where you called a timeout and it was just a fucking abysmal call. Like I can understand if you had called a timeout in like the map before or something like that and like it just was completely off. You know what I mean? But there's no reason to not listen to your coach's call unless it hasn't worked and you've kind of lost faith in that moment of time, Or if it's the IGL, I feel like if it's the IGL countering the call of the coach, I think that's okay. But I think just for not a random player, because obviously no one's random, but for someone that's not the IGL to just kind of counter call what the coach is doing for a timeout, like there's a reason why you have fucking coaches, bro. It's for moments like this, right? And yeah, it's off season, whatever, but like this shit can't happen in a normal season, bro. You know what I mean? Like you can't just be fucking counter calling.
I felt like
bro, you're the one
last year all the time.
But listen, like you're the one taking the timeout because you are seeing something that they are not, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like it just doesn't make sense,
brother. I don't know, and I don't have the.
Maybe they should call the timeout then. You know, if they want to make a call, you fucking choose the timeout.
Yeah, and they did at least like I think.
I know.
So like on Split, for instance, the first timeout where I think you guys just played here, I actually didn't call that timeout. That was a team timeout. That was them calling the timeout, right? And then I just gave some input because someone asked me a question and I like filled in the blank. I'd love to live in a perfect world where like people trust me. People just think I'm dog shit or like I'm just not smart or whatever until they have to play me, and then it's like, yeah, like get fucked, right? Because, but it is what it is. Like I don't know. I don't know how to deal with that because I can also admit that I was also like this too. I mean, I can remember back to when I was younger, even in Dota. Oh my god. Anyways, I know what it's like to do what Gov does to me, which is why I don't ever take what happens personally. I totally get it. I can get it from his position, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. But this is something that as a group we have to improve upon. Maybe I need to learn Thai so that my timeouts are in Thai, and maybe it's better. I have no idea. But no. This what you're talking about with timeouts has been fucking bothering me with this goddamn roster for so fucking long. Like half of my timeouts I literally waste because I make a call or I say something and they do something else, and it's just like,
even do it.
What the fuck are we doing, bro? So I don't know, and I haven't figured. It's been a year. I haven't figured out a way to fix that. The best thing I've learned to do is just prepare crews and over prepare crews to be able to handle, 2-for-1s, tempo switches, pattern recognition, so that even if these motherfuckers don't listen to my goddamn timeout, he can at least figure out a better solution down the road when I no longer have timeouts.
Well, I mean, hopefully, you guys could figure that shit out because, I mean, they should at least give you the chance. And then if it just doesn't work, then okay, whatever then. But it was the off season. Now would have been the perfect time to practice shit like that, on top of the other things that they're practicing. And they just got to drop the fucking egos. But let's move on to shit that's been happening in the actual season. In the actual off season, I mean. And there's been a lot of news, bro. We haven't been able to do a podcast. I had some crazy shit that happened. For those that don't know, there was a crazy break-in situation that almost occurred right outside my apartment. So I just moved apartments. I'm good now. That's why we didn't record last week. I found a place in literally a week. But yeah, EG announced their entire roster. And poor Sim, bro, but at the same time, it is what it is, bro. So now we got Icy, Yay, Derek, Nature, Superman. And yeah, it all just got announced, I think, yesterday? I believe now from this podcast. Solid, bro. I think Icy's going to be a good team player for this squad. I don't think they needed a star duelist like Jaw or anything like it with these players that they have because they actually have so much firepower, bro. On the team
I mean, in fairness, though, obviously having Jaw is
of course
this better. But no, I agree with you. I think this roster is probably as good as it could have been.
Right? Like I think they have a lot of team players. They have like certain superstars. Like Yay, I could totally see him being a superstar on this roster, bro. If they decide to go that route,
for sure. And I don't like to speak ill of people, even on this show. Yeah. So this isn't a slight. No. This is a slight to Sim, but it's not meant to be disrespectful. It's just meant to be honest. I coach Sim. And going back to the thing we just talked about with my team and sometimes being uncoachable, I think that is probably one of the biggest issues I had with Sim. And Icy doesn't have that problem.
Oh yeah,
and Icy
he's
now
the complete
has the
opposite.
Experience.
Yeah.
Now he has the experience, and he's probably the ultimate team guy. So I think. I think they did a fantastic job given the hands that they were dealt with the players that they picked up and sort of the roster they put together. I think EG, I mean, I think they were good last year. I think they definitely could have made top 4 in NA and made champs. It's just unfortunate, some of the bad breaks. But I think this team can contend for sure. I think
I don't see them being like one of the best in the league, but they're definitely going to be a team where like any of these VCT teams are going to go up against. They're going to be like, yeah, fuck, these guys can actually beat us. You know what I mean? Like I feel like you look at EG's roster and you're like, this is not going to be an easy win. Even if you think on paper you are like a way, way, way better team.
Yeah. I mean, I commend them for. Like I said, I think this was a very crafty roster. I don't like saying things like this because it sounds like I'm comparing myself to like Potter or comparing myself to EG. This is not really what I'm trying to do. But the crafting, like why I think this roster compositionally is good and why I commend them for doing everything that they did to build it, because it seemed like it's a move I would do. And I can like I see the genius behind it, not because I think I can do it. I'm saying because I feel it. Like I get exactly what they did and why they picked the pieces that they picked from Ye to IC. Like I get it. It's because it's very similar to what I did with Band and Governor here. Right? Like it's sort of unconventional to think that, yo, why would you pick up Ye? Ye's failed the last 3 years or whatever, right? Like, but I get it. Why are you moving Ye to the position that he has, given the fact that he's had unsuccessful runs with the same characters, right? Like, oh, I get it. Oh, why would you pick up Icy rather than someone like Sim, who mechanically I think Sim is probably
he's awesome, bro.
Better
when Sim is on point, it's crazy, bro.
Right. So you know the same thing. Derek was washed. What happened to Derek? 100 Thieves dropped him for a bag of chips, right? Like. We can go on and on and on about all these things.
For a bag of chips is crazy.
Yeah, I'm just saying. It's true, though, right? They said he was washed. Some of these fucking... Anyways, I'm not even going to get into it.
Yeah.
Like, I low-key like this roster. I think it is
fire,
probably one of the most balanced rosters in terms of, like, strength and weaknesses across the board.
I
agree. How some players complement everyone. So
it's super stable.
I legitimately think this roster is, like... really good, right? Like, and it's not it's the sum of its parts. It's not that they have like, sure, if Ye turns into Ye Esports Player of the Year, okay, this could be one of the top teams in the NA, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, like, even on a bad day, I think this team can win because they have a mix of like playmaking, game IQ,
like a mini G2 almost, in a way, like a mini G2, because you know they're going to play the game right. You know they're going to play the game right.
This roster, yeah,
exactly.
So, on a personal level, I like this roster. I actually was very impressed. Remember, I think it was a few episodes ago, which now was like a month ago, we hinted at. There's still a move they needed to make. That was the move they needed to make. I said you swap Icy for Sim.
We knew,
that is probably the better thing to do.
That's really what I was saying. I was like, it just makes sense, and that wasn't a dig to Sim at all. It's just like, dude, the Icy has literally played with G2 out of all the fucking teams in the league. G2, who is so fundamentally sound, like this is the experience he got alone from playing with like an IGL like Valorant and having a coach like Josh RT and all the other players that are basically veterans now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Trent, who's been playing for forever at a very high level. Even Jonah P, right? So it just made sense, bro.
Yeah. So and the thing is, like, I get some free coaching for Sim because I haven't talked to Tyler in a while. But I'll just say the stuff he was doing at Nearest Airport, which is why I replaced him, he still does now on TSM. And you can say things like, oh, well, he hasn't had a real coach and he doesn't have. But at the same time, like at some point, you have to take personal accountability for this stuff. You can watch your own VODs. You can study other teams. If you need to become an IGL and actually start spending the time doing that, do that. Because I would argue that some of the mistakes Governor makes and cost us a lot last year is what Sim's problem is. Now, why does Governor have more latitude? Partly because of his flexibility, that he can play any agent, and partly because he's the guy I decided to bring along. But Sim is still not reading the game well, macro-wise, not on top of it, overheats like a motherfucker. Like, I can just go on and on all the things you see on tape that are it's the opposite of what you just explained with G2, and it's the opposite of the habits Icy has. Right? Icy may not win you rounds by himself.
He's not going to throw them.
He's not going to throw your rounds.
Yeah, I agree, bro. I agree.
Right? And the thing is, it's been how long? I think it's been 3 years almost since I've coached at Nearest Airport. You can't keep making these mistakes. Like, if you want to actually get to a point where you're at this level, you can't keep making these mistakes. Can Sim play at tier 1 level? Of course. But he comes from the Bancroft School of Valorant, and this is why it's not been successful. It just is what it is, bro. Like,
that's great, bro.
there's a certain level of like understanding you need to have and anticipation in the game that you need to have. And when your game is always relying on, I can just shoot this guy and win the round. Okay, but then you meet other guys like you and that doesn't work. And now you're actually not able to play against them because they're smarter and better and it's just unlucky. So
GG, bro. Another person that got GG'd was, Moose, who's not on C9 anymore. And on top of that, they got rid of Rossy. I spoke about this on the NRG podcast, and a lot of the NRG guys like Sam, Ethan, and even actually Verno's an interesting guy. He's not that talkative. He doesn't really give his opinion out unless you really hound him down for it. But they were all saying that Rossy was the best player on C9.
Facts.
Yeah, right.
Facts.
Low-key, he actually was.
But the thing is, listen to what they said. He's the best player.
Yeah.
There's another element to this. There's an interpersonal element to this.
It had to have been personality, bro.
Right.
Yeah, there's no way.
And yeah. So I agree with them.
But by the way, like the Mitch move, I'm 100% behind. And I don't know if I was preaching this to you. I don't know if I think I talked about it on SpikeTalk.
Me and you talked about it during
we talked about it, right?
Send Invitational, how good he was playing. Me and you talked about it.
The Red Bull. It was Red Bull Seattle because I casted it.
Red Bull, sorry.
Yeah, I casted. I'm like, bro, and I was telling them there, I was like, dude, like, it just makes sense, bro. Like, Mitch was on this fucking team before. He knows all these guys. He's fucking great IGL now, bro. Probably the best IGL you could have gotten out of tier 2. You know what I mean? Let's be honest. Like, that was available.
I agree, especially now that Flya is on tier is in tier 1. I think your argument is correct,
right? Like for NA, right?
Yeah, I think your argument is correct.
So it just made sense, and now Net is going to be taking Moose's spot. I think Net. Okay, so this is what I think about the Net switch. First of all, I think Moose played fine. I was surprised. I think he actually stepped up his game because I competed against Moose a lot in tier 2, even when tier 1 was everybody as well. And like I never thought he was anything special, bro. Like he's also someone that doesn't really throw the rounds, but like I never thought he was anything crazy. When I saw him play on C9, I was like, wait, he actually got way better. He actually looked really confident and really good. Net, on the other hand, I feel like has been going through quite a bit of a slump in confidence, and I think that's just the one thing that he needs to get back online because I remember Net on guard, bro, when he was mid-rounding. I would play with him in ranked. He was IGLing in ranked, bro. All these things, his mechanics were on point, everything. It's something that has kind of like just been crashed ever since he got cut from G2. And I think that this team needs to find a way for him to get confidence back up. And if that can happen and they actually just stick with a fucking roster for a little bit, I mean, this team could do some damage, bro. When you got like a star like Vic and Oxy on the same team, bro, I feel like it could really do a lot of work.
I would agree. I mean, I have a little bit of an issue with sort of the way a lot of this was handled. So I guess we could talk about that too. But I think Rossy, you're correct. With Oxy, with the pieces you have,
who else would you have gotten on Senti? Like, I feel like the only other name that comes to mind is like Mitch, Dapper, bro.
No.
Right?
So Mitch and Net are good. I would have gotten one of them, obviously kept Rossy, but there's like,
we don't know if there was personality issues.
Moose, I don't really know Moose that well, so I'm not going to say. I have heard of him. I know of teammates talking about him to me about certain things, but without being in the room all the time, like it is what it is. As for, I mean, I'm not going to say anything else about the coaching and management in that respect because, I mean, career failures are career failures. All I'll say is that I don't like how this organization continues to fumble in every single aspect, and yet they're partners. Like Riot, like the selection process to this is so insane because forget the accounting. All you need to look is the history of instability. This organization has had troubles since the inception of Valorant. First off, Vanity's been on this team 3 times. What the fuck are we talking about? Name another organization where this is possible.
Mitch is now coming back.
Right. No. Just name another fucking organization where this is fucking possible. And yet you have like the same managers, the same general manager.
I should have joined C9, bro.
Brother,
I fucked up. I should have
insanity.
Bro, Frost, I should have taken the 5-year contract, bro. Even if they got rid of me, I could have came back like 2-3 times by now.
Brother.
And then maybe I get picked up by another team because I finally played in the league.
They pull a bleed. and overpay. Then they basically cut all the salaries by like a large margin, right? Then they go and now they become a budget franchise. But even with a budget franchise, even as a budget franchise, they're out here just like screwing over people with careers. And I do not know Rossy personally. I know of him, of his time on TSM.
I played him.
And I knew the immaturity that came from him, specifically both on Turtle Troop and on TSM. And Rossy, I know you're going to see this. You might say something about it. This is not you don't want that smoke, because I got the receipts for that. On a personal level, though, I would give Rossy a shot, even despite some of the personality things that I know. And it's because I like guys with fuck you in them. I think Rossy is... This is going to sound very strange coming from me. He reminds me of Simple. It's not that his skill set is as high, but I remember the issues with Sasha and the personality stuff. And the one thing that no one could reconcile with in Flipside, except for me, this includes my partner Dana, this includes Blade, Markeloff especially, none of them understood a guy that had that much intensity. But I did, because growing up as a Latin American and growing up with the dad that I have, that's the energy I'm on. Yeah. So I get how sometimes you could lose your cool, blow your top, but apologize after. Bro. But the moment you do that one time, everybody thinks you're some fucking scumbag. And it's like, nah, man, I just really care about this shit.
By the way, you want to know what the craziest thing is? Is that when he was on FaZe, he was not like that whatsoever. And that's the biggest problem I had.
But people on their people on their best behavior.
This is the craziest thing ever to me. Because you're saying how intense he is, all this stuff. But one of the main reasons why we decided not to go with him is because I remember there was this conversation that I was having with him, and like we're just walking, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm just here to have fun, like that's it." And I'm looking at him like, "Bro, I'm here to fucking win, bro. I'm trying to like make it to the league, bro. Like I know this is probably our last year on FaZe as an organization, and these are the tools. I was hella stressed, bro. I'm like, dude,
right.
But I'm happy that like he kind of like woke up from maybe it's because like it's just I don't know. No. The thing when I cut him, I don't know if it's that, or maybe he just has a profound amount of respect.
This is what I mean. He's
that's what it is.
Incredibly immature moments as a teammate, and sometimes he crosses a line.
It's never happened on me with FaZe.
No. I understand, because he's on his best behavior. Because the thing about him is, he's he's an extremely intelligent person. And again, I don't know him personally, but I've seen enough, heard enough. Now I know enough, because I know that type of guy because I've been around these people my entire life, and I would argue that a lot of the misunderstandings about me as a person, the misunderstandings people have about me are very similar to the misunderstandings people have about Rossy, right? With Rossy, he has had these incredible fouls. And I can tell you from the things that I know, you remember how I said about someone on my team this year, that something they did at Champs was a fireable offense and they're fucking lucky they didn't get cut?
Yeah.
Okay, what I'm saying is he has crossed that line that if that happened, he did that around me, I would have actually X'd him too. Gotcha. Now, he didn't get X'd, but that's about where I'll leave it, right? But the more that I've gotten to understand him, especially last year when he was in Pacific, the more I can see his career trajectory, the more I begin to understand, this guy's, respectfully, he's a fucking psycho. He just really wants to win that badly that it's very similar to the thing I described to you before, which was you either get the fuck on or get the fuck out, right? Mm-hmm. He takes that, he embraces that basically, which, as you know, in Valorant is a very difficult attitude to have because people often don't share this ideology and it skews younger, so they're not, I think, emotionally equipped to deal with someone challenging them like this, which is largely what I think happened at, from everything I know, at T1 last year, which is why they blamed the Americans for having a bad year and they need back their Korean culture, right? Blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. But I would say that the reason why I am an advocate of Rossy is simply because I understand people like that. Last year, what did I tell you? I needed to help Cruz get a little more fuck you in him. because I feel like that's what he was missing, both as a player and a leader for both the Thai scene and for Talon. And I think what ended up happening, I don't know this. This is pure conjecture from me now. I think they got a sense of that. They got a sense of his, you know, I don't want to name the guy that he reminds me of in this respect because you would laugh, but I just don't want the headache. But the sarcasm,
he's a funny guy, bro. He's a funny guy, bro.
Right. I imagine they just didn't like that shit. And then probably his view of the game is unlike some of the people whose job is who's responsible for the job of the in-game or the, you know, helicopter view of the game. So he obviously ruffled some feathers there too, obviously. And I think they just decided to get rid of him. I will agree with both you and your co-stars on the NRG podcast that was a top 4 team with Rossy.
Yeah, Rossy.
Like he was their best player. He like knows, because the thing is, if I built the roster today, I would choose Rossy almost over every other player there except for Alexi. And you know
which is crazy, right? Which is crazy.
And it's because of all the things I've mentioned that like I think there is a line. And as I've gotten older, I've understood it, right? Like you could be highly competitive, you know, and also you can like blur the line between asshole like too much, and you can sometimes go too far. And I will certainly say that maybe Rossy straddles that line probably a little bit too far. But it's something I would appreciate. Others may not. And I think you just saw the case of others may not. And Mitch, for everything I know, Mitch is the exact opposite. So
and he's a great IGL as well. He's a great IGL as well.
Oh no. Facts. I've heard very good things about Mitch. I played against Mitch obviously earlier in Valorant. I have a healthy amount of respect for him. You and me both talked on this podcast about how well he played in that tournament. I think it was in October or something, or the episode in October, maybe the episode in November. So I could totally understand them wanting to make changes. That's probably not one I would have made. But that's okay. They have their own org. They have the reason why I was critical of C9 above all.
Yeah, let's talk about your tweet, bro.
Yeah, it's just crazy to me that, I mean, it's this constant hypocrisy, I think, of some of the stuff that I see from Riot. I think I won't get too far into the details on this because I think now we're really getting
you're going to get exiled, bro.
I mean, I'm already, but like, I'll just say that there's something
I'm going to get exiled. I'm playing.
There was something in the offseason that a high up at Riot said about basically stagnation and cutting jobs and sort of like that the company became complacent, so they needed to make a lot of changes. And if you heard it, I really questioned sort of like I feel like some people, some organizations think that the problem doesn't start with them at the higher level. It's all the middle guys that's the problem.
Which is what we've been talking about this, like, and this runs with not just orgs but everything. Right. Is that there's people that are doing esports stuff that don't even know what esports is, bro.
Right. And to me, I will always argue that first off, I've been an entrepreneur, owned a company. As a matter of fact, famously here, I own a very successful esports organization that has more championships than most of the teams in VCT in its entirety. I still have more titles than most of the VCT teams myself as one guy. Now, I don't do this all the time and talk about it because it is what it is. But we gotta change it after this show.
We gotta make a documentary, bro. A Frost documentary when we're done with all this shit, bro. Like, well, when you're done coaching,
doing a documentary in CS:GO, like Navi's doing one with him, and you'll see me on there.
Yeah.
And talking about my relationship with him. Blade is to go to CSGO, and somehow this fucking dweeb from New York City is somehow in a documentary talking about the GOATs of CS. In multiple cases, for simple and for... But anyways. But the point I'm trying to make is, when I make comments like this, even sometimes my players, they don't even understand like where they come from. Like, if I question like my own management here at Talon sometimes, which I don't have to, they're good people or whatever, but if I do, it comes from an experience background of like, guys, I've done this job before. Just because I don't talk about it, that doesn't mean I didn't do it. You know, here are all the examples of like the things I've done. So when I see someone that high up in a company I won't mention that everybody now knows I'm talking about, I just find that interesting because they think it doesn't start with them. And I know that at flip side, everything was me and Dana. If there was a problem, even in a game, in a genre of a game that I had no part in, it was still my problem. Mm-hmm. And it was one I created either by my hiring principles and practices were incorrect because I hired somebody that became stagnant or whatever description you want to give, or the core principle and culture at the company created an environment where someone could do X, Y, or Z and think it was okay. So I think it's really funny that when you bring this to Cloud9, how the fuck does this org have almost every year some crazy problem that they need to like rework their roster within a month of a season happening? Just think about the absurdity that this is. And I haven't seen a new GM. I haven't seen new managers. Obviously, I'm not even going to get into like Jack and C9 and all that stuff because my issues with them go back to, anyways, it is what it is. But like, why that tweet is what it was is, I don't believe Riot's going to take this absurdity into account. I just don't. Because I don't think they even look at it the same way, a la what I mentioned about someone in their company saying something that to me is exactly what someone at Cloud9 probably said about what was happening. So they get rid of people like, let's say Rossy, Moose. And this is what I'm saying. It's like, I just find this shit fascinating. I even found it more fascinating that fans don't like question this shit and be like, bro, what the fuck are we doing? Because I feel like, and maybe this is my bias, you can tell me, I feel like the Valorant community is more memey. They're not serious about problems.
Yeah, I could see that.
Right? Because to me, this is a huge issue when it comes to VCT, and I don't want to just say competitive integrity because, yeah, I mean, you could argue like everybody deserves the right to build a team the way they want to. Mm-hmm. But when a team has had this many issues and problems consistently, it's very hard for this team to be good, right? Which means every year you're going to have a team that is kind of ass, which is not what we want anyway.
Well, this is the weird thing, and we've talked about this before, and obviously, like I'm gonna be salty about this no matter what because I feel like there's no reason why FaZe shouldn't have been in the league, in my opinion. And it didn't make sense even from a performance standpoint because at the time, Cloud9 wasn't even a top 10 team in the game when they got picked up to go into VCT.
Facts.
And it
Big
just
facts.
like don't get me wrong, it's not that Leaf wasn't it's not that the players weren't good enough to be in the league.
Were not at the time.
But the team in itself, like how do you get
they got
picked
better,
up into a league?
Yeah.
When you're not even in the top 10 fucking standings on VLR because your performances have been that bad. You know, like, I mean, I remember we rinsed them on FaZe. We spawn camped them, bro. We like ended their season by spawn camping them, bro. Like, but yeah, but it wasn't performance based. So then it goes to, okay, how did Riot pick these teams to come in the league? And I mean, there's a big history of Cloud9 with League of Legends and stuff like that. But, you know, maybe some of these things need to be
but even
looked at in the future or something. I don't know.
Even in Cloud9,
I can't imagine how hard it is to actually pick teams. Though.
Like, there's just
I have heard that Cloud9 does like 5-year contracts and some interesting stuff with that. Like since the start of Valorant as well. I've heard about this stuff.
Yeah, I just philosophically,
which is weird. Like a 5-year contract is very, very interesting.
100%.
I could be wrong though. I don't know. I've never been a part of the team.
No. They have had some of the longest, and I'd argue for tier 1 seeds. Like you compare them to Liquid, for instance, and I'm not even going to try to glaze Liquid or anything. I'm just saying like it's not even the same. Like you don't ever hear horror stories about Liquid, contract jail, like issues. I mean. Like the shit Jack did with tens was insane. Like, come on,
I'm not gonna lie,
work, bro.
That's
insane work, bro.
Well, congrats to him for doing that. But like, it actually screwed me over, bro. Because when I wanted to, we talked about this. When I wanted to go to Optic, I couldn't because the price for someone of that stature, and at that time I had like 10K viewers on Twitch concurrent. So like, FaZe was comparing me to tens, bro. They did not let my ass go. My buyout was like, I think at first it was $1 million, but it wasn't actually $1 million. I heard that they like dropped it like maybe by like half,
Dude,
but that's still a lot.
It's insane, bro.
But it inflated the buyouts
Yeah.
on everybody because
and it worked out for 10 specifically and all that
fuck
stuff.
yeah.
But like,
I'm really
the point I'm
happy
trying to make is like,
for him.
I don't believe Riot is going to actually care about what it does to their league and what it does to their franchise. I think Riot is only going to care about the perceived value that Cloud9 brings. Because I think the perceived value is Cloud9's a big org. They've raised 300-something million, even though they're hurting, and they've pissed away most of their money. And I can go on and on about some of the bad stuff, which I know they've seen the accounting.
It is also tough though because like who do you give a chance at this moment in time? Like who
they passed on the guard. They passed on the Cronkies, who arguably have like they would have been like the second richest owners in all of esports. Think about it.
Do we know
the guard?
Do we know that happened, or do we think that the guard just didn't want to be in it? Because I've heard that the guard just was gonna seize operations in esports in general, and that could be a big reason.
Okay, in fairness,
you know what I mean. We don't actually know.
A little bit creating an element of like making a stronger argument by like not everyone having the right info. Yeah. the thing is, once they saw what the partnership program was, they basically were like, wait, what? Nah, we're good. That's the truth. But I guess my point is,
so this leads me to a conversation that like I want to have in general, and I want to get your opinion on like franchising. And I know that this isn't it's his partnerships, and Riot doesn't want to call it franchising, but do you think that like this type of system like kind of just like kills games? Because I feel like every time a game comes out, from what I've seen, that does a league and it's like a partnerships or franchise league, I feel like it just ends up making the game kind of, I don't know, it just kind of like fizzles away. Whereas like like the beginning of games,
where,
all the orgs are in.
System is the way to go for sure.
Everyone is playing. There's a bunch of orgs that have incentive to stay in it.
Yeah,
I feel like it's healthier for the ecosystem than leagues in itself. I don't know though. Like I don't know.
I think what you're asking really is
because I've been a part of two
open
leagues
system
now,
better than a closed one. My argument for that will always be, to be honest, no, franchising is the best thing that can happen for a myriad of reasons. I think the biggest one is if you think about a more open system, eventually this is what happened. All the investors, like, look, a team like us, maybe because I'm like the least charismatic dude ever. I couldn't raise money despite all the titles and despite even us not losing money, right? Like I told you, I had to be vetted by UCLA when I did that fucking TED Talk for them, and I basically had to give them accounting records of like tax returns.
It's crazy.
And you can even see that like Flipside wasn't losing a whole lot of money. How the fuck could I not raise money? But I got dweebs over here like, minus $2 million burn rate a year, and I got like more chips and titles because it's not always about, well, you heard the conversation with me and Arnold. Like, we disagreed fundamentally on something, but it's like, they believe that sort of like the growth of the league the growth of esports and growth in general is more important than sustainability. And if you adhere to that argument, franchising, look at the NFL, NBA, they're all franchises.
Makes sense, yeah.
That's the way, like, consolidation actually is better when growth is attached to it, simply because there's less wheels, right? So what I will say, though, is I think the Premiership is a better way of running a league than even some of the franchising models we have in America. And this would mean relegation, because just because you were allowed into franchising doesn't mean that you should stay here forever, especially if you're ass.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Right? Because what you don't want is what's happened in baseball and basketball and football, where you have teams and owners that are cheap and don't want to pay, but they want to get the money from the big market teams because there's a revenue sharing model in place in all these leagues. So you buy a team for $100 million, you spend $20 million in salary like the Marlins, and then you just basically coast for the rest of your life chilling. Meanwhile, your team is fucking ass, and you never grow the sport regionally, right? Because just be honest, that's literally what the Marlins are, right? And you don't want a thing like that. You want it to be like the Premiership, where you have the tier 2 teams come in and try to win, right? You have like Crystal Palace and I'm not going to get into like specific teams because I'm sure like some people don't even know about sports, but like a lot of people that do will understand what I'm saying. Like you want your Arsenals and your Chelseas to be challenged by like the low level teams year after year after year after year. And you need the bottom teams to be able to compete and pay and sort of get good players and develop good players so that they don't get relegated.
Yeah. Incentive.
Yeah, exactly. The correct incentive needs to be in place.
Incentive to play not only at a tier 1 level, but also tier 2, tier 3.
Right.
And giving
Where
people
Riot
hope, you know?
Was before franchising. There was a lot of stuff going on that they just did not care about, even though they only said that they cared about certain things, but they did not. Like, you already know where I'm going with, like, some teams were just literally creating a fiscal environment that was just not tenable. And Riot just literally did nothing and sat and watched it. And then the people at Riot are like so out of tune with what's going on. They didn't even know that GMs were faking contracts to get other opposing teams to spend more money. Just so they spend money and hurt them.
Is that like a legal, like, is that like even legal to do? I guess it is, right? But like, what can be done about something like that other than like, you know, you looking at that org and like, okay, you want to mess around.
Small example, it didn't happen then. Like, for instance, let's say I knew this, right? This is also why
I heard about this stuff by the way.
No. But this is why people like so Riot has a thing where like we're not culture fits. I mean, you might be a culture fit. I clearly was not a culture fit, but this is where culture fits hurt you, because if you're a culture fit for Riot, it also is synonymous, I think, at this point with like you're not a real gamer or you're not one of us like this. You're not immersed in this life. You have other shit you need to do, especially now that you need an MBA in order to be hired at Riot at these positions, right? So you'll never know about things like this because you don't know people like this. You don't know, you will never know the inside world, which is largely part of the issue. It's why the NFL, and I know this issue right now with P. Diddy is a problem, but like, it's why the NFL went to Jay-Z and Rock Nation to solve a bunch of problems they had because they couldn't connect with a certain percentage of the community that were their heavy fan base. It's why you do things like this. Jay-Z's not a culture fit for the NFL. Like, what? You got Jerry Jones. You think, you know a story I got. Jay-Z's not a good old boy, bro. You know what I'm saying? So there were issues that persisted here that they never corrected. And then franchise comes and they still don't correct it. The first year, you know, players are getting 35, 40K. There was a spending craze. Now, why didn't they add a salary cap, even though Alex Francois, the guy before, wanted one? Simply because, and by the way, he's a lawyer also, because certain, I believe certain counsel at Riot basically were like, this is a legal nightmare because you have minors. So then fix it. Make it to where you can't be part of the franchise league if you're not 18 years old, but then incentivize academy teams from the beginning. And if you lower the salary base, instead of paying 40K a player like some teams are doing, or like some organizations are doing this year, I'm not going to mention names. If you lowered the overall salary base, then you have room on the cap table, or sorry, not cap table, the cash flow sheet, to basically then sign a mini academy team and keep those developmental players as the future of your programs. You could have done that day one. But of course they didn't have the foresight to do this. Now they go, oh, we didn't know or whatever. Dude, this shit is not fucking rocket science, bro. It's not that hard. But they fell
I mean, you say that, but it probably is fucking very hard, bro. I'm not gonna lie, bro.
But the thing is,
because it really could just be hindsight, bro. No, like
no, it's not hindsight. Because this information, like, I
guess they could have tried to learn from Overwatch League, but
dude,
how many leagues have there actually
like that.
been?
So, like,
bro?
a salary cap is not. We live in America. Riot is in California. Salary cap. So first off, cap guys, analytics guys are two of the biggest, most important things in any general manager's office or front office in modern day sports in America. There is simply no excuse to not know this. Why does some, like I give an example. I'm some fucking jerk off in South Korea, right? We can have a very serious conversation about the NFL cap system. And I can tell you about cash over cap and why the rich teams like the Cronkies, for instance, have a major advantage. Cronkies own the LA Rams, right? he's doing something paying cash over cap where he's putting so they signed Matthew Stafford for like a fuck ton of money, right? When they got him in the golf trade.
Yeah.
And without getting too intricate into the details, all I'll say is they paid him like $60 million up front. $60 million as like a signing bonus. Why?
Yeah.
It's to avoid and circumvent certain salary cap rules. And then the major bulk of his contract is in an escrow account, which is for cash over cap, where if you're rich enough, you can go over the salary cap system, but you have to pay cash, and the cash has to be in an escrow account, and it cannot be touched.
Yeah,
because that's the player's guaranteed money.
You know what? There was some stuff in Overwatch League with certain players that were really popping at the time, where they would have like 2 different types of deals with the organization. Because I think Overwatch League did have a salary cap. Actually, I think it did. I think it had a salary cap. So what orgs were doing was they would give like max salary to whoever it was,
right?
And then they would also give like a streaming contract to them as well, just as like the rest of.
And you would go around the rule, right?
Yeah.
So right. So the point I'm trying to make is, I'm some fucking schmuck that everybody thinks is ass, and I'm in South Korea. How the fuck do I know this? Why do I know random cash over cap NFL salary cap things? Why do I know this? You mean to tell me if I have an MBA, I'm not going to understand this? If I need an MBA to get hired by Riot, you wouldn't hire somebody that has the knowledge of this? Oh, wait, I'm sorry. They had the guy. Oh, wait, I'm not even going to get into that conversation. But, right. So what I'm saying is, if you're a $1 billion company and you're trying to franchise a game, you don't think you need people with the level of expertise to understand these things and how they work in other areas to bring them into this one? Right?
Yeah.
That's my point. Why is some douchebag that everybody hates in Korea? Why do I have this level of knowledge, and why do my caretakers not? How does that work? Right? Because I'll give you the biggest example to bring up what you were saying. If you had a salary cap, it's unfair to pay 10s at that rate, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, so why not make one person on the team? And I know people are going to get pissed off because they think that everybody should get paid the same, which is bullshit. That is not how fucking real life works. That is not how esports should have worked. You can't pay everybody on the team the same, even if they're young kids. You just need to teach them to stop counting other people's paychecks and start doing the best thing that they can to be the best players they can to hopefully earn that one day for themselves. But what you could have done is had a one-person waiver where one guy on your team could exceed the salary cap, right? But every dollar that you pay over the salary cap, you need to match it. And then you know what they could have done? They could have pulled all that together from every team, and they could have used that as an extra payment to subsidize the academy division that came afterwards, right?
I mean, dude, listen, I'm all for fucking tier 2. I also think that, you know how like there's like skins and a skin pool that goes towards, the tier 1 teams? It would be cool if they released like a skin like how Dota does, and that goes towards like a prize pool, and you could put that towards tier 2, because all you need to do is
the compendium system. Trust me, I was
all you need to do
system.
is
I know.
right? Yeah, all you need to do is release like one skin set, because I think Riot makes a fucking killing off the skins. I don't know the numbers, but
so the problem with Riot though is different. It's that the economics of their game, remember, it's free to play.
Yeah,
the way they make money is with skin bundles, and the reason why champ skins they've decided have to be like high priority skins, but there's like a tier system with like skins. So that's why let's just say like these are 2 examples that people may not think I'm right about, but don't listen to me about being right about it. Just think of the example. The Elder Flame skin, right? To me, that's like a B tier, C tier skin system, right? Other people thought the animation was cool, whatever. Okay, cool. I like the Ion. So I'm going to put the Ion high. So let's say the Ion is A. Okay. They have these grading systems for these skins. So they put champs as like that level skin. So the reason why some skins are better than others or whatever is to obviously it's to like reach every type of person, right? Some people that like retro, some people like this, some people like mage punk, some people like that bullshit. They try to reach them, but they try to put more effort in particular skins that they think obviously can sell more, which is why they obviously do it. So if the idea is cool enough, or I assume a panel at people at Riot decide, okay, this should belong here. We should really push this, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. They ended up adding champs skins to that so that teams got paid more money or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But the problem with making champ skins like the best skins ever is if you buy it and you like it, that's the one you keep for the rest of the year. That means they can't make money the rest of the year, which ultimately hurts the game and hurts their money.
Yeah, you only have one skin for the whole year. I understand.
What made Dota better, or not better, I guess, but what made Valve more money than Riot.
No, I'm kidding.
Well, yes, actually, even with less people, because the company is much different. But and the thing is, Steam prints infinite money, and the one thing I've learned is they all think of themselves like Eric Johnson, Gabe Newell. They think of themselves, because I've had meetings with these people, so they think of themselves as a software company first. So all the losses don't matter because they make their money. Like Steam is the company, not Valve. Like the game creation part of Valve, right? So they don't give a fuck about losses, which makes them entirely different than Tencent and Riot. The old founders of Riot might have believed very similarly that, like, at whatever expense we're going to do this. If you think about what their opinions were against Arcane being $260 million, they were like, we don't care. We wanted the product to be as good as it can. Mm-hmm. I don't think that came from Tencent. I believe that came from the original people at Riot, or founders, or people that are at that, like, because Tencent's not going to be like, yeah, bro, let's just pay $260 million for an anime. That's probably not in there. Like, there probably had to be a lot of convincing. I don't know this for sure. I'm just speculating, but that's my assumption.
Tencent is a fucking major business, bro. They own a lot of shit.
But there's a lot of problems that Tencent are having, even in their homeland in China, which I won't get into at the moment. But it's not like Tencent is also flossing in money too. They're getting really hurt by some of the financial stuff going on in the world markets, which is a conversation for a different day. But Valve made money off skins. So here's what Valve did, which was genius. Valve opened up. So this is when I was a player and I started, right? There was people like TV Dodo, Anuxi, like all these guys were the first Steam millionaires. What they did was they let people like you develop a Dota skin. And if they sold it, they revenue shared with you. I believe it was 80-20.
Just 80, like they're doing with CSGO skins, right?
Right. So what they did was they allowed people to do that. That was one way they made money. Then they sold their own skins. Then they sold team pendants. Then they came out with a compendium. The compendium was supposed to entice people to play more games and also experiment with more characters. Because what they did was they attached certain compendium goals, which, like, you need to play Slark 5 times. You need to play Obsidian Destroyer 5 times. They incentivized, like, playing the game. Yeah. Right? And then they sold it. And then they attached. Now, they did some really fuckboy shit, too. They said that 30% of it went to the teams and players. And it was found out later that 30% of it did not go to the teams and players, which is a conversation for a different day, which I won't get into. But so if you think about it that way, look at all the different ways that Valve can make money. Then they made money off the marketplace where you can sell and trade skins. So they made, like, I think for me it was like Dodo, which was the most famous when I was playing. There was like this little bird that was a courier. And if you went to TI, they gave it to you.
Wow.
So you only had like a limited number. And then what they did was you could sell it on the market. And bro, some of them are selling now for like thousands of dollars, right?
Wow.
So that was another way for them to make money because they made money through the tax. The sales tax, or not a sales tax, but they not like the government sales tax. They took a percentage of they took a fee.
Yeah, like fees when you put the money into the account.
Right. Now correspond that with Riot. Riot doesn't have any of this shit.
Yeah.
So
Riot's kind of good for us, but
fair. But Riot's ability, but it's also bad for us because this is also why Valve had a replay system. Why Valve had the ability to have like compendium.
That is so weird. That's a whole nother conversation, bro. How do we not have a replay system, bro?
Let's just say that all I'll say is Riot rushed Valorant out early because the pandemic gave them okay, I will defend. I'm the analytics guy. I'm the guy that like built the program for this, and now there's other people trying to do the same thing in esports for other games, and even this one that I had done in CSGO 10 years ago. So I for sure should be the guy that shits on Riot for not doing this because I would have a major advantage if I had all these tools. But I'm not, because Riot was brilliant in their timing and their understanding of the world and just gaming. Riot wasn't ready to release Valorant. But when the pandemic hit and everybody was going to be home, there was no better time to do it. So we are essentially playing an alpha game, and people were shitting on it because it's like, oh, this game is still an alpha game. Look at the movement. Do you remember early on when people were complaining about latency? Yeah. When they were complaining about Peeker's advantage in Riot in this game and how much better it was, or like how much better CS:GO was in this?
So it's just so funny because they never played Crossfire. So for me, I was like, when I played Valorant, I was like, oh, this is fucking sick.
Right.
It's just so funny. It's just so funny. But like, but I know people were saying that, but it was just funny for me to hear it because I'm like, damn, this shit is gas, bro. Like that's
for sure.
That was my point of view. But I also played a game where like you can interp like fucking crazy.
I just had an example where like I'm in VOD review with Governor and Primmy and I'm yelling at Primmy for something and Governor and Primmy are arguing with me saying I'm wrong. And the truth is I was wrong, but it's because I'm thinking like a Crossfire player now, like, no, we shouldn't do this, but not a Valorant player.
Yeah,
right. So I had a moment where that actually bit me in the ass thinking about like, no, but in Crossfire there's a trap. But anyways, like people were complaining about that, but they didn't realize that the game wasn't ready to come out anyway. Riot made a decision, and it was the best decision that the company could have made for Valorant. And I'd argue that the reason why Valorant is as popular today is because they made these decisions.
Timing,
but
and
because they made these decisions, it left a lot of things undone. And then as the popularity hits, now they need to pivot. So maybe their roadmap, I wouldn't know this, but maybe their roadmap was X.
Just changed.
And it turned into Y, then it turned into Z.
Because you kind of have to adapt, bro. Like especially because you're right, like the game blew the fuck up. Like
right. So I'd love to be critical, but I can't because honestly, we are living through the benefit of the decision that those people at the time made. And given hindsight, they clearly made the right decision. I certainly was against the decision early on. I was pissed when we didn't have a replay thing when I was on 100 Thieves.
No, it's tough,
and I had to develop one of my... Right. I was pissed. Over time, I've understood that they made the right call, and I was wrong about my opinion then because I was only looking at it from one vantage point. That was mine. But when you take everything in totality,
what would benefit you, right? Yeah, exactly.
Right. Like they made the right choice, but that also limits what they can do because, for instance, they can also sell the data. Look what Overwatch League did with IBM, right? Which you remember, you were there.
Yep.
You may not know the nuts and bolts, but like that was another revenue vehicle. Was they started selling the data and starting helping train AI for IBM using the data, right? So. Yeah, they don't have any of these vehicles, so they have a very limited way to make money, and you can blame that on the fact that the game was unprepared to launch, but they had to launch or whatever. And sure, maybe they can, or maybe they should have by now have had these things. I would agree, but I'm sure they have their excuses and reasons.
I mean, you know what? Obviously, it would be nice to live in a perfect world, but unfortunately, shit just ain't like that, bro. You know what I mean? So either way, I mean, we fucking love Valorant.
Yeah,
you know?
And now that it's not their company, don't think Tencent doesn't have say. So I imagine someone's job at Riot, obviously the CEO, it used to be Nico, now I don't even give a fuck who the hell it is, right? Now that person's job is to basically go, I need a budget for X. They have to fit everything in the budget for X. Maybe they decided Arcane was where that money went instead of the benefit of like some of these games, and
also
which I may not have made.
And that is another thing too. It's like we're talking at this from a point of like what benefits us the most, right? Because this is like what we do for a living, you know. So like we want the best for ourselves, but when you're running a business and etc., it might not be the best choice for what's going on and what you actually are trying to accomplish, right? So like esports is just one small thing, and honestly, thank God we even got an esport in the first place because right now, I mean, all of esports is not very profitable whatsoever, bro.
Right.
I mean, we just talked to Gen.G owner. He's telling us everything about it, bro. You know, it's tough to like. I mean, even you remember what he said? He said even breaking even. Isn't a green flag for investors to come in, which is crazy, bro.
Bro, it's what drove me crazy.
And breaking even right now is like a fucking dub.
You don't have a good business if you're losing money.
Yeah.
So everything of our flip side was for me to not lose money, and I thought I did that. And then I was winning at the same time, so I thought I should be getting all the money. I'm the guy. Everybody thought, no, you're not the guy. I was about to say something I shouldn't say. This other guy is the guy, or that other guy is the guy. So. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I'm not a good old boy, too, so I lost a lot of rich people's favor, which is a conversation for a different day.
Yeah.
But back to bring this whole thing full circle, this is why I thought franchising was actually the right move, implemented incorrectly, and ultimately they're suffering from that. And I don't get how some fucking orgs could be so dog shit and continue to get a pass. And I do not believe that Cloud9 is going to suffer any ramifications from this, because I think the people at Riot are still on the Kool-Aid. And to me, it's insane, because this level of instability is, quite frankly, embarrassing for the sport. But unlucky. What do I know? I'm some schmuck in Korea. Unlucky.
Unlucky. We go next. We're going to talk about some of the other things that have been happening in the scene. We got Crashies joining FNATIC, and this is fucking huge, right? Because what does this mean for Leo? Yeah? Like, I mean,
yeah,
one of the best, initiator players, Sova players in the game, hands down. Does that mean he's going to join another team? If I'm FNATIC, I'm not letting him join any other team, and I'm keeping him in contract jail, me personally, which is kind of fucked up for him. But do you want to play against fucking Leo? Like, no, you don't want to fucking play against Leo, bro.
Yeah, but Leo's still sick. What I imagine this is, and I know we had Coco on, so it seems like now I'm glazing our guest that we had, but it's really not that at all, actually. It just so happens to be that we had these guys. I'm very complimentary of this move. Or Kojo, sorry.
Wait, would you say Coco?
Coco.
Coco. I always call him
Bro,
Coco.
next time he's back, bro, we're going to introduce him as Coco, bro.
My bad, Kojo. I'm a fucking dick. I'm so sorry. That's so embarrassing. What I will say, though, is I think this was a genius move.
Who else you gonna get on Sova? I mean, I don't know. I mean, they could have gone with someone from EMEA, but Crashies has like the pedigree, and I'm pretty sure all the players probably respect him a lot.
Yeah. Okay. So in order to not call him Coco anymore, can I just call him Colin from now on?
Sure.
I'll just say Colin. Okay. So I think, like you, he should remain on this roster for the whole year. If Leo's not able to play, you have one of the best initiator players in America playing on your team. Here's the thing that I thought. So I thought this was an incredible move. And I think because of a different reason most people will think. Okay. This is not to be critical of you if you get it wrong, just because we disagree. I'm curious. Why do you think this is the best move for them to make? I know it's because Leo was sick. Beyond that, just player-wise, why was this incredible?
I think it makes sense because Crashies has tons of experience. And I feel like his playstyle kind of fits the EMEA style as well.
Right.
I think he thinks a lot about his decisions.
Sure.
I think he's not going to throw your game. And
fair.
I think it's good for an initiator player that is a veteran to be supporting a new duelist.
Okay, that's all good reasons. You're still going around the edges. I mean, like, what is it about Crashies that you think, why did they make the move? What's the number one reason you think they made the move?
It's kind of roll for roll. I don't know, bro.
Yes. No. I mean, player-wise. I'm just talking about player, not fit, not macro, not player-wise. What is it? Like, if you rate what is he best at? What do you think he's best at? Is it his mechanics? Is it... No. But, like, what is it about him as a player?
I think he's just smart, bro. I think Crashies is a smart player.
Okay, so then you and me are on the same page. So, yeah. Because what did we say before about Boaster? Do you remember the narrative and the conversation we've had about Boaster?
He needs somebody to help out with the mid-rounding and shit like that so he could focus more on his own skill.
Who the fuck better than Crashies in North America to do that at the initiator spot? There's
and by the way,
not Trent,
100%.
Not Verno, no one else I would trust macro-wise to make calls for my team more than Crashies.
No, it makes sense.
It's a perfect mix for FNATIC because his mechanics are still very good. But he has the ability to split off with Boaster and dominate the other side and make calls that Boaster can trust.
I'm excited to see him play like just without.
Me too. I think it's a great move.
Without like, and this is no offense, without Vic, without Pujan. I'm excited to see him and what kind of player he will become now that he's kind of like alone, in a way, and like not. He's kind of got like a fresh slate at this point, So I'm very excited to see how he performs and if he steps up and just becomes a fucking monster, dude. Who the fuck knows, bro? Like this is a time where you can reinvent yourself as a player.
Right. Which goes to show you that I think some of the tier teams, I think, missed out on Crashies. I was surprised Crashies. I mean, it is what it is. Like, I know the whole.
I
like,
think it's just so
I know the
hard.
NG stuff is weird, but
It's so tough.
yeah.
Like what team could he have joined? Like you got to think about that. Like what team could he have joined from NA? It's
I
so
know of
fucking
one.
hard to get.
I
Which
know
one?
of one.
Which one?
I'm gonna keep it 100.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, 100 Thieves?
Why not?
Because you have EU, bro. EU has been performing.
Dog.
He's been performing better than Crashies, bro. You can't complain with. He has.
Okay, but what's their biggest weakness?
100 Thieves, bro.
What's their biggest weakness?
I can't say that on
Okay,
air, bro.
right. If you think about their biggest weakness, I think that helps towards solidifying the weak. Mechanics is not their biggest problem.
Yeah, I guess you're right, bro.
So, I mean, it's okay. Everyone has reasons to do the things that they do, and I'm not even saying that that
I don't know.
Crashies for EIU
But
would have been
when I
better.
think about
I'm not
that
saying
team though as well,
anything
it's like
negative about
I don't
Dan.
think
It's just
he would
is what it
fit on
is.
that
If
team.
Crashies is available, he just fits the need.
But he might fit. He might fit a need, but like at the same time, he might not fit with the personalities on the team. You know what I'm saying?
And now we go back to
is
just
like-
an element of Valorant that I just think is dumb. Dude, are we trying to win or not? You think Bucio fits in with the personalities, bro? Let's keep it a stack.
I think he might, bro. Just because, like,
No.
dude, no. But here's the thing: when it comes to young players, bro, when they see someone that's won a fucking major, bro, like they just talk to them different, bro. They walk around them differently. You know, like when you have a lot of young players on your teams that are superstars, you know, from the start of Valorant, like you were talking about, you know,
Yeah.
I feel like that will just go, that in itself, the fact that you have a person that's won a major, and I'm not talking about Ethan, I'm talking about like in Valorant.
No, I know. Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Because Ethan obviously has won majors and he was on that team.
I'm not being critical of Bucio. I'm just saying, like, if you think of the personalities in that room before him, he is not a fit one-to-one with those guys.
Yeah. But I think
That's
the
what I'm
players
saying.
like will look up to him, is what I'm trying to say.
Sure, because he won. Crashies has the same pedigree. He may not have won a major, but Crashies has been busting that ass, their ass in particular, for 4 years. If you don't respect him by then, you're just ridiculous. Right? Can we agree?
It's tough because, bro, when I mean, and this goes for all like almost every player. I mean, I've had moments where I've completely destroyed everybody, and they were quick to forget about me too, bro. So it's like it's just a fucking thing that happens, bro.
Right? No.
Yeah.
I agree. That's why I said I was surprised that certain tier 1 teams didn't take advantage of Crashies being available. But the tier 1 team, in most of their minds, FNATIC said,
like,
"Oh, let me get you." Like,
yeah,
that's like, I think, again, where I question some of the
just
people making
recency
these
bias, bro. It's
because
just
they don't
recency
think about
bias.
these things.
It's recency bias. It's what it is,
Right,
bro.
but
even
explain to
with
me
what
why-
I said, because what was the first thing I said? EU has been playing better as of late.
Right.
You know, like
Here's the thing.
even I'm getting the recency bias disease,
right.
bro.
But I mean this with no disrespect, and I hate talking about that company in general because I hate talking about the company in general, but I guarantee you, if 100 Thieves made the swap, EIU does not end up in FNATIC, 100%. That's what I'm telling you. This is what I'm saying. They would have went with someone from EU. I promise. It was because it was Crashies that they said, "Oh, yo, FNATIC's like, yeah, come here." And if he's good enough
Makes
for FNATIC, but not good enough for 100 Thieves, then there's like a disconnect here that I think needs to be addressed, right? This is fundamentally the argument I'm making, and that's why I said I was surprised by tier 1 teams. And they're not the only tier 1 team I thought that could have used Crashies. It was just the most obvious example of one. Like, and I mean, can we be honest? I love Derek too.
Yeah.
You know I love Derek.
Yeah. You would have gone, but
I would have thought about it. That's not saying I would have pulled the trigger because chemistry matters.
I was about to say the chemistry with Superman.
His chemistry with Superman, for sure.
Yeah.
But don't tell me that I shouldn't at least think about it. And if Derek's offended by that,
but you know
then
what?
he's not thinking about it correctly.
I think maybe he may have trialed, bro. I
All
don't
right.
know.
But
I don't know. I don't remember.
But this is where I'm going. But what I'm going is when a guy like that comes out,
for sure.
you have to think about it, right? Like, you know, I'm not going to say the name, but Cruz will back me on this. There was one player in APAC that if he became available, which the rumor was he was going to become available, he might have taken Cruz's spot for the season. And Cruz knew about it. And Cruz was like,
we talked about this. Didn't we talk about this?
Not on the show, which we're not going to do.
Oh, we didn't talk about it on the show?
But in person, we talked about this, right? Because sometimes when people like this come available, you have to consider it. You have to think about it deeply and go, man, this guy's very good. Maybe we consider it. right?
I mean, yeah,
now,
fucking Ye and Chamber meta, bro. You're telling me every single fucking team isn't like, yo, this guy might.
I mean, Ye in general should have been on everyone's after the esports player of the year. That's why Cloud9 went for him as hard as they went when that roster couldn't stay together because of the money. Right? Like you have to Aspas being a free agent. Why do you think
everybody thought about him.
Why,
yeah.
right.
Even APAC teams are thinking about him.
Now, Crashies may not have the hype or may not have whatever, but you know better than anybody. Sova's probably the hardest character to play at the top level.
It's very easy to tell when you're getting Sova diff, bro. I'll say one thing. So, like, and not only in terms of like how you're performing in the game, but if you have a good Sova player, man, that motherfucker can make your life so easy against a good opper or a player that's just really ratty, you know, that has good intuition timings and shit.
Yeah, I agree.
Like just understanding when to drone sometimes is a fucking skill of its own, bro.
100%.
Like you can't
knowing when to save it and jump spot.
Yeah,
assuming whether he's gonna expect the jump spot or
and switching up your fucking util and everything.
Yeah, like just
I know.
Look, I'm just gonna say this is what I meant about Crashies.
Yeah.
I was surprised. I understand why he's not on NRG, but everyone else, I thought, that's weird. For FNATIC to sign him, I thought it was genius, and for the reason we discussed earlier. And for NA, I thought there's a bunch of people that literally didn't do their jobs because he ends up on FNATIC and not on their roster, which I can name a boatload. I just named a couple, but I named the boatload. And again, no slight to Derek. Derek knows he's my homie.
Maybe like C9, even C9. Yeah, but the thing is
I didn't even want to go back into that. Let's stop. But yes, I mean, come on, bro. Anyways.
Yeah.
Yep. Do your
thing. Right. Next, I want to talk about some of the LATAM and Brazilian teams. You know, we got Leviathan, who got Natank, and then we've got FURIA, who got Heat, Rafa, PU, and then also MIBR. They all played in a tournament, right?
Yeah.
They've been playing in tournaments. I just want to get your opinions on the teams. And yeah, I mean, did you expect Natank to be joining Leviathan? It's kind of interesting.
Right? Yeah, I expected something else there, but it is what actually I have heard of. Okay, so let's start with the team I think is going to be the best. MIBR has a chance to be top 4.
Dude,
Cortesia is on everyone's name. I have heard of Cortesia because he played with some of the FURIA players in ranked and like so like I knew I thought Cortesia is going to be really good. I was surprised Quick getting it picked up by some of these other teams though. I will admit this. But okay, whatever.
Right?
But Cortesia is the guy I assumed Lev would have went for or played around. Natank, I'll be honest, I haven't heard or known much of him. But Cortesia, I know in Brazil was kind of the name. I think FURIA, I think having Heat and MW0 on the same team,
it looks scary.
It's going to be scary, fragging power wise, but also attitude wise and ego wise. I am so excited to get my popcorn ready to see what happens with that roster.
I know, right? Because
that roster can implode faster than fucking a balloon with too much air.
But dude, the talent that they have now, and also like the way that Havoc, like if Havoc can keep up playing like this duelist role, like at a pretty high level, because when you have Heat and MW on your team, and you're the one fucking playing duelist, bro.
Yeah, I think
this is that combo that we're talking about like, you know, duelist players swapping roles and just being fucking amazing at it.
Yeah.
Because if it actually works out and they're actually amazing at it, now you have another fucking duelist on a different role. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and that's what you got to do. He is now playing fucking Sentinel. And like, bro, why not? The guy's so mechanically fucking inclined. MW is playing Initiator, bro. And it's so funny because like, MW and Heat have played like Duelist, Sentinel, and fucking Initiator. So like the flexibility is there. These guys are just good players, bro.
Yeah. So I'm
excited for these teams, bro. I think a lot of people are writing them off. Like they're gonna.
Well, you lose Aspas just like EG. You lose Jargemo. Those are big deals.
That's facts. That's facts.
But they're keeping the core together, so it seems to be okay. I'm curious to see where things end up. I think Lev has the potential to be a top 4 team. I don't necessarily think they're gonna be. Obviously early predictions, and I have no idea how the fuck I'm gonna feel next month when we actually do predictions.
Right, but dude, I want to go over the brackets, but I don't really have enough time. I got some dinner resis in the next 15.
Yeah, we should do this with the with the couple episodes that
Yeah.
we're going to do specific to this.
We're going to go over the brackets, but what I want to talk to you about, the closing thoughts of this podcast, of this episode 27 is, do you think that this year, in terms of like the difference between teams, is the closest? Because remember how last year we were talking about, and obviously this is early, so we're kind of doing predictions here, but we were talking about how EMEA felt like it was the tightest in terms of, you know, the skill disparity. It was like the top wasn't really that crazy at the top. You know what I mean? Whereas like in Pacific, the bottom teams were fucking. Was it Pacific that we were talking about, or no, or NA, where the bottom teams were just trash, and it was very top heavy.
Yeah.
In NA, or was it Pacific that was top heavy? I don't remember what we said.
NA was more top heavy. than
NA.
Pacific.
So do you feel the same way? Because I feel like right now when I look at these NA teams, bro,
Yeah.
I feel like it's gotten closer, bro. And I don't know if it's because of the right roster moves. You know what I mean?
I think the level of Valorant is getting higher. I also think that during the season, it's going to establish itself to separate more. Let me explain super quick. I think Neon becoming everyone's primary duelist lowered the skill cap of a lot of teams. I think the Cypher Trips and the Unbreakables created a weird place in the game where it made it harder for skill expression. I think the new meta, the new bounce, like we didn't show it, but Neon is not even, to me, she's not even playable anymore. Which, right? I think
they kind of went overboard. They kind of went overboard on the
now
shit.
bro, it's insane. I'm not even gonna get into the balanced team. I don't even care, man. Whatever, bro.
Another day, bro.
But
he said, "Do you?
Do you, man?" It's just like, because to me, it doesn't matter. I'll adjust, but like, dog, Dota's such a blessing, bro. Like even Deadlock, you see it. The incremental changes. I mean, come on, Deadlock balance. Anyways. I think you'll start seeing big gaps again because the amount of agents you can use now are a lot more. So
which I like, by the way. I think that's really good for the game. I hate when it's just one stale meta or there's just one thing that's dominant. I feel like there should be.
But even in Soup, we were playing on the Neon patch, right?
Yeah.
Or like Neon wasn't nerfed yet. So teams are running Neon, but it's just like, bro, they're not going to play this shit. And then plus, like, we're practicing. Like, I'll give you an example. Some Chinese teams are running Phoenix now on Pearl. No one ran that in Soup. You know what our practice consisted of? Playing fucking Phoenix instead of Neons. So then we start playing Texture on Jet and Neon, and it's like, wait, no one even plays
you're not going to
really
play
on this map.
yeah.
Right? So it's like, now, obviously,
so
not the excuse,
Phoenix
not the reason we
is
lost.
Phoenix that fucking good right now?
Okay, that's one nugget I'll give. Yes.
I mean, it's fair. Like, I'm just wondering. Because like you said, because you said you've been playing against it in Scrim, so that means a lot of people are playing Phoenix.
Phoenix is... But the problem
I mean, dude...
You need good players, and you need people that are flexible and consistent.
Bro,
and, you know...
So Vic's not going to be on a team when Phoenix is back? What the... Yo, Vic's Phoenix was nice, bro.
Listen.
That's crazy,
dude,
bro.
That's crazy. I'll say this only once, because we're not going to run it. But Cruz has been convincing me to go back to 2021 Sentinels when you remember when Sick was on Phoenix?
Yeah, I know.
And Tenzo's on Jet?
Yep.
He legitimately wanted to run that comp. And I didn't veto it, but we decided that other things are probably cooler and better.
Yeah.
But this is what I'm saying. We started going back.
Oh, starting with a flash, bro. Like, because I play Val sometimes from here, from every now and then, bro. Believe it or not. And being able to buy a sheriff, and this is just ranked, being able to buy a sheriff and have a flash is probably the most unbelievable combo I've ever had in my life, bro.
Yeah, no,
it's such a good fucking feeling.
Phoenix is so good,
and I'm not even saying that's what the most optimal shit is.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying it's funny as hell being a Jet player who could only buy a sheriff and have a dash, now have a flash, bro. It's fucking fire.
No, Phoenix is one of them. I don't. Yeah, Phoenix is one of them.
Don't leak anything more.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I just think
that is the state of the game. Is the future is Phoenix.
Yeah. I think there's an even better duelist combo, which we'll talk about. Oh, But yeah, so I think you'll start seeing that become where the gap is. But as of Soup, I think you were 100% correct. Most teams in the world have closed the gap on each other, and it's so crazy. That's why the parity was so nuts. However, wait, I'm pretty sure the team that beat NRG had a Phoenix on it. Actually, just so you know, Lo-Fi on Pearl, they had Phoenix. I'm pretty sure. So you could see that game, and you can. I'm pretty sure. If my memory, if I'm not dog water, right? I'm sure you're looking it up
right now.
Yeah,
they did. Yeah, Prodigy was on it.
So
he went 21 and 14.
Look at that game, and then you'll see. But
dude, wait, they ran the fucking Sentinels comp, bro.
Listen, brother. I'm telling you, this is why I said that. This is why I said that about Cruz. Now, listen, I'm not leaking anything because we're not running it. That doesn't mean we're not going to run it at some point. But I can tell you very openly, we're not running it. But it brought it up, and he brought it up before Lo-Fi beat NRG, and this is my point, that the things we're scrimming are not actually the things you're seeing in game, and people just don't have this understanding of sort of like what you have to do in order to prepare, because like they didn't realize that like
you're still playing on the old patch. Yeah.
We didn't even know what patch we were playing until like a week and a half before Soup, because Soup didn't even tell us. They didn't even know, right? Like, so I'm having to like run two different sets. It's insane. But yeah, I think next year is going to be insanely fun, and I think some teams are going to have a huge advantage over others, and I will continue to say that the teams with the most versatility, I think, are going to be in better positions, and the teams that are less flexible are going to be fucked. And I'm worried about next season because I might be fucked. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Word, bro.
Yeah.
All right, man. I think that's a good spot to end on for this week's episode of Spike Talk. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, bro. Hopefully we can get around to actually talking about some comments.
Oh yeah,
dude. We gotta get some
moving on by the time we get around to talk to him. So don't get.
I know, dude. We just be yapping so much. This is honestly one of the faster episodes we've had. And it's just because I had some resis, but we're gonna talk more. We'll be back next week, most likely. Probably at a earlier date. You know,
we'll get back into it
if we can. Yeah,
before kickoff, we have some
before the holidays, because we're all gonna probably be doing.
No, for sure we're gonna do it before January.
Yeah, I meant to say make sure we say happy holidays, everybody. But also we got some stuff in the works. We're setting up a Discord and some other stuff. Not exactly sure what that's gonna look like yet, and it's probably gonna be a word of mouth thing to get started. But we want to find a better way to get the community involved. So
it'd be dope. We could pick like certain topics, because for those out there, we basically have, you know, a Google Doc that we write some of the things down going around the scene. Maybe we can add one of your guys' things in there. Once we glance over, be like, yo, this is actually a good thing to talk about. So if there's something you want us to talk about in the scene that's happening that we haven't been hitting on, even if it's happened a year ago, 2 years ago, whatever, let us know.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. GG's, everybody. See you in the next one.
GG's.